Ever wonder what mysterious sex technique drove viewers wild, or why a beloved character plunged to her death down an elevator shaft mid-season? L.A. Law wasn't just groundbreaking television. It was a cultural phenomenon filled with bizarre behind-the-scenes secrets, unexpected casting choices, and shocking moments that changed TV history forever. Fact 1. Dead before the opening credits. Most television dramas introduce their ensemble cast with fanfare, giving each character time to establish themselves before any major plot developments unfold. But L.A. Law took a drastically different approach right from the very beginning. In the show's pilot episode, viewers were introduced to the law firm of McKenzie, Brackman, Cheney, and Cusack. But one of those named partners never made it past the opening scenes. Norman Cheney, played by actor David Clennon in what would become one of the shortest roles in television history, was discovered dead at his desk before the firm's morning meeting even started. The character suffered a fatal heart attack overnight while working late at the office, and his body was found slumped over paperwork when employees arrived the next morning. This shocking opening immediately established that L.A. Law wasn't going to follow the typical rules of primetime television. The death served multiple purposes for the show's creators. First, it demonstrated that no character was truly safe, setting a tone of unpredictability that would become a hallmark of the series. Second, it created an immediate opening in the partnership structure, which allowed for the introduction of new characters and internal firm politics that would drive storylines throughout the first season. The remaining partners had to quickly navigate the awkwardness of mourning a colleague while simultaneously competing for his position and client list. Creator Stephen Bocco later explained that starting with a death was intentional, designed to grab viewers' attention and signal that this legal drama would tackle serious, unexpected moments alongside the courtroom theatrics and romantic entanglements that audiences might expect from the genre. Fact 2. The mysterious Venus butterfly phenomenon. In 1988, L.A. Law created one of television's most enduring mysteries without ever intending to do so. During a fourth-season episode, the character Stuart Markowitz, played by Michael Tucker, casually mentioned that he had learned an incredible sexual technique called the Venus butterfly. The show never explained what this technique actually was, never showed any demonstration or detailed description, and never brought it up in any meaningful way again. It was simply a throwaway line in a single episode. But that one mention sparked an absolutely unprecedented viewer response. NBC's offices were suddenly flooded with thousands of letters from curious viewers desperately wanting to know the secret behind the Venus butterfly. The network's phone lines were jammed with callers demanding an explanation. People genuinely believed this was a real technique that the writers had learned about and decided to reference on the show. The reality was far simpler and perhaps more disappointing. The writers had completely made it up. There was no real Venus butterfly technique. It was entirely fictional, created purely for that one scene. But the show's creators, including Stephen Bocco and David E. Kelley, found the audience reaction so amusing that they decided never to reveal this fact publicly. They maintained the mystery, refusing to confirm or deny whether the Venus butterfly was real, which only intensified viewer curiosity. The phrase entered popular culture, appearing in other television shows, comedy routines, and even inspiring real-life sex therapists to create their own interpretations of what they thought the technique might involve. To this day, the official answer from anyone involved with L.A. Law remains the same. The secret of the Venus butterfly will never be revealed. Fact 3. Cancer couldn't stop production. Jill Eikenberry's journey with L.A. Law began with a devastating personal challenge that would have ended most careers before they truly started. Shortly after filming the pilot episode in 1986, where she played attorney Ann Kelsey, Eikenberry received shocking news from her doctors. She had been diagnosed with breast cancer, and she would need to begin aggressive radiation treatments immediately. For most actors, this diagnosis would have meant withdrawing from the series before it even aired. But Eikenberry was determined to continue working, and she found an unexpected ally in series creator Stephen Bocco. Rather than recasting her role or writing her character out of the show, Bocco completely restructured the production schedule to accommodate her medical needs. He implemented a strict policy that Eikenberry would leave the set every single day by 5 p.m. so she could attend her radiation therapy appointments. This wasn't just a casual accommodation. The entire shooting schedule for scenes involving her character had to be carefully planned and prioritized to ensure her scenes were filmed earlier in the day. Other cast members adjusted their schedules, and scripts were sometimes rewritten to reduce her workload during particularly difficult treatment periods. Eikenberry later spoke publicly about how this support system allowed her to maintain some sense of normalcy during an incredibly frightening time in her life. She continued working throughout her treatment, never missing significant time from the show. Her determination paid off in multiple ways. Not only did she successfully complete her cancer treatment and remain in remission, but she also delivered powerful performances that earned her critical acclaim throughout the series' 8-season run. Fact 4. Harry Hamlin's hungry running gag. Some of television's most memorable character quirks happen entirely by accident, and Harry Hamlin's portrayal of attorney Michael Cusack includes a perfect example of spontaneous creativity becoming canon. During the filming of L.A. Law's pilot episode, the cast gathered around the conference room table for an important scene establishing the firm's dynamics and the relationships between the various lawyers. The production had set the table with various props to make the scene feel realistic, including plates of sandwiches, coffee cups, and other typical conference room refreshments. These props were meant purely for visual atmosphere, not for actual consumption by the actors. But Hamlin, perhaps feeling genuinely hungry during the long shoot, reached out and grabbed one of the prop sandwiches and started eating it while delivering his lines. The director loved it. The casual, natural way Hamlin incorporated eating into the scene made his character feel more real and less like a typical television lawyer who only existed in dramatic courtroom moments. Rather than asking Hamlin to do another take without eating, they kept it in the final cut. From that point forward, eating during conference room scenes became Michael Cusack's signature characteristic. Episode after episode, viewers could count on seeing Hamlin's character munching on something during important firm meetings. It became such a recognizable trait that other characters occasionally referenced it or reacted to his constant snacking. The running gag wasn't written into any scripts initially. It emerged organically from that single improvised moment in the pilot and became one of those small details that made the character memorable. Television historians and fans of the show still cite Michael Cusack's conference room eating as one of those perfect examples of how happy accidents during production can create lasting character definition. Fact 5. Television's first lesbian kiss. On February 7, 1991, L.A. Law made television history with an episode titled He's a Crowd that featured something American primetime audiences had never seen before. The episode included a romantic kiss between two female characters, attorney C.J. Lamb, played by Amanda Donahoe, and Abby Perkins, played by Michelle Green. This wasn't a peck on the cheek or an ambiguous moment that could be interpreted different ways. It was an unmistakable romantic kiss between two women in a mainstream network drama airing during primetime hours. The scene was groundbreaking for its era, coming at a time when LGBTQ representation on television was virtually non-existent outside of stereotypes or comedic relief characters. Network executives at NBC were understandably nervous about potential backlash. They prepared for angry phone calls, advertiser complaints, and possible boycotts from conservative viewers and organizations. The episode aired, and NBC staff braced themselves for the response. The network received approximately 40 negative phone calls. That was it. 40 calls out of millions of viewers who watched the episode. The overwhelming majority of the audience either didn't care about the kiss or actively supported the show for including it. This relatively mild reaction shocked network executives and opened doors for future LGBTQ representation on television. It demonstrated that audiences were more accepting than networks had assumed, and that including diverse storylines wouldn't automatically result in massive controversy or viewership loss. The kiss itself wasn't sensationalized within the episode's context. It was presented as a natural moment between two characters exploring their feelings, which made it feel authentic rather than exploitative. This approach helped normalize same-sex relationships on television at a time when most networks were too afraid to address the topic at all. Fact 6. The elevator death. Inspired by Bob Newhart, one of the most shocking moments in L.A. Law's entire run happened during the 5th season when the villainous attorney Rosalind Shays, played by Diana Muldaur, met her unexpected demise in spectacularly dramatic fashion. The character walked toward an elevator, the doors opened, she stepped forward without looking, and plunged down an empty elevator shaft to her death. The scene was stunning in its suddenness and its dark humor, becoming one of the most talked about television moments of 1991. But this iconic death scene wasn't an entirely original creation. The writers actually borrowed the concept from a much earlier comedy series. Back in 1976, The Bob Newhart Show featured a remarkably similar scene where a character fell down an elevator shaft in what was meant to be a darkly comedic moment. The L.A. Law writers remembered this scene and decided it would be the perfect unexpected exit for the manipulative and scheming Rosalind Shays. The character had become increasingly villainous throughout her time on the show, creating conflicts with nearly every other attorney at the firm and making numerous enemies among both characters and viewers. Her death needed to be sudden, shocking, and somewhat fitting for someone who had spent so much time climbing over others to reach the top. The elevator shaft death accomplished all of these goals while also providing a visual metaphor that wasn't lost on audiences. The scene became so famous that it's been referenced, parodied, and homaged in numerous other television shows and movies over the decades since it aired. It remains one of those rare television moments that transcended the show itself and entered popular culture, frequently appearing on lists of most shocking TV deaths and most memorable television scenes. Fact 7. Actress learned her death from the script. Diana Muldaur's experience discovering her character's fate on L.A. Law represents one of those awkward realities of television production that actors occasionally face. Muldaur had joined the show in its 4th season, playing the cunning and manipulative attorney Rosalind Shays. The character was designed to be antagonistic, creating conflict and tension with the established cast members. She was never meant to be likable, and the writers succeeded in making her one of the show's most effective villains. But Muldaur didn't realize just how temporary her role would be until she received the script for an episode during the 5th season and discovered that Rosalind Shays would be dying in a shocking elevator shaft accident. There was no advance warning phone call from the producers, no meeting to discuss the character's exit, and no gradual lead-up that might have given her hints about what was coming. She simply read the script and learned her character was being killed off. This sudden discovery wasn't completely out of nowhere. Creator David E. Kelley had previously told Muldaur that her character wasn't long for this world, which was Hollywood code for suggesting that Rosalind Shays wouldn't be a permanent addition to the cast. But those vague warnings didn't prepare Muldaur for the specific timing or manner of her character's death. The abrupt nature of the death scene matched the character's exit from the show. Just as Rosalind Shays unexpectedly stepped into an empty elevator shaft, Muldaur unexpectedly read about her character's demise while preparing for what she thought would be another regular episode. Despite the surprising exit, Muldaur handled the situation professionally and delivered a memorable final performance that gave the show one of its most iconic moments. Fact 8. Benny was supposed to be one episode. Larry Drake's portrayal of Benny Stulwich became one of L.A. Law's most beloved and groundbreaking elements, but the character was never intended to last beyond a single episode. Benny was introduced as a mentally challenged man who worked in the mailroom of the Mackenzie Brackman law firm. The character was written for one specific storyline, meant to appear briefly and then disappear as the show moved on to other cases and characters. But Drake's performance was so genuine, so heartfelt, and so compelling that the show's creators immediately recognized they had something special. Rather than letting the character vanish after his initial appearance, they brought Benny back for another episode, then another, and eventually made him a series regular who appeared throughout the show's entire run. Drake's approach to playing Benny was marked by tremendous respect and authenticity. He didn't play the character as a joke or a source of cheap sentiment. Instead, he portrayed Benny as a complete human being, with dignity, emotions, intelligence within his limitations, and a genuine place in the firm's community. The other characters treated Benny with respect and affection, and he became a moral center for the show, often providing unexpected wisdom or perspective on the lawyer's complicated cases and personal dramas. Drake's work earned him 2 Emmy Awards for Outstanding Guest Actor in a Drama Series in 1988 and 1989. These awards recognized not just his individual performance, but also the show's thoughtful handling of disability representation on television. At a time when mentally challenged characters were often portrayed as objects of pity or sources of inspiration for able-bodied characters, Benny Stolwich was simply allowed to be himself, a valued member of the firm's community. Fact 9. The Mad Magazine Recreation. Stephen Bochco's relationship with Mad Magazine created one of the most unusual behind-the-scenes stories in L.A. Law's production history. Mad Magazine, famous for its satirical parodies of popular culture, decided to lampoon L.A. Law during the show's height of popularity. The magazine created caricatures of the entire cast, drew them in exaggerated poses, and published a full parody spread making fun of the show's dramatic storylines, romantic entanglements, and courtroom theatrics. Most television producers and creators would have either ignored this parody or perhaps been slightly annoyed by it. But Bochco had a completely different reaction. He absolutely loved it. The Mad Magazine parody delighted him so much that he came up with an unusual idea. He contacted Mad Magazine and arranged to get high-quality copies of their illustrated parody spread. Then he organized a special photo shoot with the actual L.A. Law cast. His goal was simple but ambitious. Recreate the Mad Magazine parody exactly, with the real actors posing in the precise positions and arrangements that the magazine's illustrators had drawn for their caricatures. The production team studied the Mad Magazine illustrations carefully, noting every detail of how the caricatures were positioned, what they were wearing, their facial expressions, and how they related to each other in the composition. Then they painstakingly staged the cast to match these drawings as closely as possible. The resulting photographs captured the entire ensemble, mirroring their own satirized versions, turning the parody into an affectionate self-parody. This photo shoot demonstrated Bochco's sense of humor about his own creation and his willingness to acknowledge that L.A. Law had become enough of a cultural phenomenon to warrant satire. The recreation photos became a cherished piece of the show's legacy. Fact 10. Characters Jump Network's television history was made during L.A. Law's 8th and final season in a way that had never happened before and has rarely happened since. When ABC's legal drama Civil Wars was canceled in 1993, 2 of its main characters didn't simply disappear into the television void the way most characters from canceled shows do. Instead, attorney Eli Levinson, played by Alan Rosenberg, and his legal partner Denise Iannello, played by Debbie Mazar, physically transferred from their canceled ABC show directly into L.A. Law on NBC. This wasn't a spin-off situation where characters move from one show to another show created by the same production team on the same network. This was 2 fully established characters with their own histories, personalities, and storylines, jumping from one network's drama series to a completely different network's drama series. The logistics of making this happen were complicated. Both networks had to agree to the arrangement. The producers of both shows had to coordinate the storylines. Legal agreements had to be negotiated regarding character rights and creative control. But everyone involved recognized that this crossover represented an innovative solution to 2 separate problems. Civil Wars needed a satisfying ending for its characters rather than just abrupt cancellation, and L.A. Law needed fresh characters for its final season to reinvigorate storylines that had been running for 7 years. The characters weren't changed or reset for their new show. They brought their personalities, their relationship dynamics, and even references to their previous cases with them to Mackenzie Brackman. This continuity made the transition feel organic rather than forced. The network-jumping characters helped L.A. Law's final season feel fresh, while also providing closure for Civil Wars fans who could follow their favorite attorneys into a new setting. Fact 11, the show sparked a law school boom L.A. Law's cultural impact extended far beyond television ratings and critical acclaim. The show fundamentally changed how an entire generation viewed the legal profession and directly influenced career decisions for thousands of young people during the late 1980s and early 1990s. Before L.A. Law premiered in 1986, law school applications had been relatively stable, with most prospective students motivated by family tradition, interest in justice, or the practical appeal of a stable professional career. But L.A. Law glamorized legal work in a way that previous courtroom dramas hadn't. The show depicted lawyers as sophisticated, intelligent, passionate professionals who wore designer clothes, worked in beautiful offices, argued fascinating cases, and maintained active romantic lives. The attorneys on L.A. Law weren't stuffy academics or corporate drones. They were dynamic, attractive people dealing with compelling moral dilemmas while also navigating office politics and personal relationships. This portrayal resonated with viewers, particularly college students trying to decide on their career paths. Law schools across the country reported dramatic increases in applications after the show became popular. Admissions officers specifically noted that prospective students referenced L.A. Law in their application essays and interviews, citing the show as inspiration for their interest in legal careers. This phenomenon became so widespread that legal educators and professionals began referring to the L.A. Law effect when discussing law school enrollment trends. The increase wasn't small or temporary. Applications rose significantly and remained elevated throughout the show's run and for several years afterward. Some legal scholars later questioned whether this influence was entirely positive, suggesting that the show's glamorized portrayal might have given prospective lawyers unrealistic expectations about the profession's daily realities. But the impact on enrollment numbers was undeniable. Fact 12. Million-dollar sets. Creating the world of Mackenzie Brackman required a level of production investment that was extraordinary for television in the 1980s. The producers didn't cut corners when designing the show's primary locations. They constructed 3 massive, elaborate sets that became the show's visual identity. The law firm's office space was meticulously designed to look like a high-end Los Angeles legal practice, complete with expensive furniture, art on the walls, and architectural details that conveyed wealth and prestige. But the most impressive set was the courtroom. Rather than filming in actual courtrooms or building a simple backdrop, the production team constructed an exact replica of a Los Angeles Superior courtroom with extraordinary attention to detail. This wasn't just a few walls and a judge's bench. It was a complete, functional courtroom environment with removable components. The jury box could be taken out for different camera angles. The elevator that became famous for Rosalind Shay's death was built as a practical set piece. Every element was designed to give directors maximum flexibility while maintaining absolute authenticity. The total cost for these sets exceeded $1 million, an enormous investment for a television series at that time. But the expense didn't stop with the sets. Each episode required an additional $40,000 just for wardrobe, because the producers insisted on designer clothing that reflected the characters' wealthy professional status. The attorneys wore Armani suits, expensive dresses, and accessories that real high-powered lawyers might actually purchase. This commitment to visual authenticity helped L.A. Law establish its identity as a prestige drama that looked and felt more expensive than typical television productions, contributing to the show's reputation for quality. Fact 13. Theme music. Had 2 versions. Most television shows use a single theme song that plays identically in every episode, regardless of that episode's content or tone. But L.A. Law took a more nuanced approach to its opening music that many viewers never consciously noticed. Composer Mike Post created two distinct versions of the show's theme music, and the production team carefully selected which version to use based on each episode's content. The first version featured a prominent saxophone riff that gave the opening a sophisticated, jazzy feeling. This version was used for episodes that focused more on the characters' personal lives, romantic relationships, office dynamics, and lighter courtroom cases. The saxophone gave these episodes a smooth, upbeat quality that prepared viewers for drama that might be serious but wouldn't be devastating. The second version replaced much of the saxophone with an ominous synthesizer chord that created a darker, more foreboding atmosphere. This version appeared in episodes dealing with particularly serious subject matter like murder trials, disturbing crimes, or deeply tragic personal storylines. The synthesizer-heavy opening signaled to viewers that the upcoming episode would tackle weightier themes than usual. This dual-theme approach required careful coordination between the show's composers, editors, and producers. Someone had to watch each completed episode and make a decision about which opening best suited the content. The fact that most viewers never consciously registered this difference speaks to how effective the technique was. The music subtly prepared audiences for the episode's tone without being obvious about it. This attention to detail in even the opening theme demonstrated the level of care that went into every aspect of L.A. Law's production and helped establish the show's reputation for sophisticated storytelling. Fact 14. The license plate year detail. The opening credits of L.A. Law contained a small detail that obsessive viewers might have noticed changing from season to season, though most people probably never paid attention to it. The sequence featured a distinctive vanity license plate reading LALAW attached to an expensive luxury car. But the registration sticker on that license plate wasn't just a random prop detail. It was carefully updated each season to display the specific year that particular season would conclude. This meant that the production team had to film new opening credit footage every single year, replacing the previous season's license plate with an updated version showing the correct upcoming expiration year. This level of attention to a minor background detail that most viewers would never notice demonstrates the perfectionism that characterized L.A. Law's production values. But the license plate wasn't the only element that changed. The actual car featured in the opening credits also evolved over the show's run. During the early and middle seasons, the LALAW vanity plate was attached to a Jaguar, representing the kind of British luxury vehicle that successful American lawyers might drive to signal their sophisticated taste and professional success. However, for the show's eighth and final season in 1993 and 94, the production team made a significant upgrade. The Jaguar was replaced with a Bentley, an even more expensive and exclusive luxury automobile. This change could be interpreted as reflecting the firm's continued success and growth over the years, or perhaps as a final statement of prestige as the show prepared to conclude its run. These small touches in the opening credits created a sense of authenticity and temporal continuity that subconsciously reinforced the show's commitment to quality and detail. Fact 15. Real lawyers changed their behavior. L.A. Law's influence reached far beyond entertainment and law school applications. The show fundamentally changed how actual practicing attorneys approached their profession, affecting everything from courtroom behavior to personal presentation. Legal professionals across the country reported that the show had altered their approach to their work in measurable ways. Attorneys started paying more attention to their wardrobes, investing in more expensive and stylish clothing because they wanted to project the same sophisticated image that the Mackenzie Brackman lawyers displayed every week. Law firms noticed changes in how their attorneys spoke to juries, with lawyers incorporating more dramatic pauses, emotional appeals, and theatrical gestures that they had observed on the television show. Some legal scholars and judges expressed concern that attorneys were prioritizing style over substance, focusing on performing for juries rather than presenting straightforward legal arguments. But perhaps most significantly, attorneys reported that juries themselves had changed their behavior and expectations based on what they had seen on LA Law. Jurors expected lawyers to deliver polished, passionate closing arguments that resembled television courtroom speeches. They seemed disappointed when real trials didn't match the drama and pacing of the show's episodes. Some judges noted that jurors appeared to expect cases to be resolved quickly and dramatically, becoming frustrated with the slower, more methodical pace of actual legal proceedings. The New York Times published analysis calling LA Law the most influential force shaping public perceptions of lawyers and the legal system during its era. This influence extended to how people evaluated their own attorneys, how they understood courtroom procedures, and what they expected from the justice system, demonstrating that a television show could genuinely reshape professional norms and public expectations.